Sorry, my computer's really slow. And if I don't add it in, I might forget to say it, so. Okay. So any disclosure of pecuniary interest, anyone? Not much to really have that happen with, so. We have no presentations, it doesn't look like this time, so we'll go right to approval of meeting minutes from October. Who would like to move to approve them that was at the meeting? Chantel, okay. Communications, we're halfway through already, guys, wow. Chris, can you provide a committee applications update, please?
So we got 11 applications, and we are going to be sending a report to council, and hopefully by January we should have the names of the persons who council has chosen to be on the committee. There are a few details that we are working through. And we got a list of the members who are retiring, are supposed to be retiring, and so on and so forth. I think we had some members who, because they had moved from Norfolk County, they're on and so on. So we have to go through the list with in a bit of detail, and then by January we'll have a clean slate.
Sounds good. And did you get any applications for the youth position, just out of curiosity?
I think one of the application was youth.
Okay.
I need to double check that. I totally forgot that. I should have, because I mean, we could assume, but we need to make sure it is for the youth.
What is our youth cutoff like?
Not sure. Jacob, would you be able to say what age is youth?
I believe it's 16, and yeah, just to confirm, we did receive a youth application as well. 16 could be absolutely wrong. I'm not 100% sure, but I know that we did 100% receive a youth application.
Oh, sorry, I meant what age is considered youth? Like what age under, like 25, 30, 20?
I will double check.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Our funding, I think it's 29. Provincial funding, sometimes it's 35, just for reference.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna think it was somewhere
around either like 29 or 35.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. There just might be some other applications that applied for, you know, like applied for something that might still be under that age too. That would make sense. So.
Just one quick question though, Michelle. When the group, because I was not a part of the group then, but when the group had expressed the desire to have a youth on it, what was the thinking? Was it like youth instead in terms of a young adult, or was it they wanted a school age person to get that perspective? I'm not too sure what was the motive behind the youth and what you were looking for.
I don't think we ever really spelled out exactly what it meant, but I think it was like in my mind, I meant like a college age or younger probably is what I was thinking. But I don't know everybody else. What do you all, is that kind of agreed or? I have a bunch of shaking of heads, yes. So generally that looks like a consensus. So yeah, probably college age or younger, I think. Just to have like a new generation, possibly, because I see like, you know, we're just, it looks like maybe 2 generations here, but like another younger generation maybe.
Can I just pipe in?
Yes.
It's interesting now that I've started my online, my website, I actually have a couple of college, I guess, age people. And I mean, they're just so savvy with the Instagram and Snapchat and this, what's the latest one? TikTok and all that stuff. It's like a foreign language, but so they have a whole different mindset about how they do things, which is actually really refreshing.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's kind of what we were going after. You could probably find people of all of our generations that are somewhat have that, but it's, yeah, I think we were going after like that age-ish.
Michelle,
Yeah.
want to hear? I don't know if you can see my hand
Oh, no, I
icon.
couldn't see. I can see it. Now that I'm looking at your name, I can see
Okay, I wasn't
so
sure
many
if I
people, I
should.
can't really see the name. They're very small little hands.
Okay. You know, I do recall our discussion regarding youth retention, and that led to the bigger discussion of having youth representation, and also looking at succession planning. So because we're not retaining our youth and that perspective at the table, I know that was definitely going to be a big part of what we were hoping to receive from that representative, that they could help to connect us with the youth community.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, so we should probably put an age maybe to it or something for future years, maybe just to kind of spell it out, I guess, because it was pretty, youth, who knows what youth is. But maybe we'll do that at a later date.
And if we only have one, then we might not have a choice, Michelle.
Sorry?
If we only have one that applied, we might not have a choice.
Exactly. So it's like not really, it's not a big deal now, but like maybe when it opens for future years, it might be good to put like an age range to what youth means for applications, I guess 2 years from now. Okay. Anything else, Chris, or is that good?
That's it.
Okay. Do you want to do the Economic Recovery Task Force update? And I have just like a little kind of note on what we discussed after our meeting that'll tell everyone, but do you want to just provide an update in the meantime, Chris?
Okay, so where we're at is we had, if you would remember, we had sent out what I would refer to as a request for some suggestions. This wasn't really a survey. We just sent out 4 questions. We had sent it to all of the presidents of the different boards, and we had discussed it here. So what we did at the last meeting was we went through a lot. We got quite a few. Some were detailed, some were vague, and so on. Went through the list and narrowed it down to what we considered were the top 4. And we're in the process of completing a council report. In that report, we will have outlined a plan, so a Norfolk insert plan, and it will be more or less kind of 2 phase. What will be in this plan will be what I would refer to as phase 1, so those immediate actions, proposals that can be dealt with. And in the beginning of next year, in first quarter of 2021, we will be doing some further community engagement, where we will be trying to get further proposals from the wider community. Right now, what we're looking at is some proposals, suggestions for some funding that we have through RRRF, that is the Regional Relief Fund from FedDev. So we had about $5,000. We are looking for some suggestions as to how we can promote Norfolk County with that funding. So we got some suggestions, and we're still open for further suggestions. It will be what has the biggest impact and so on. We have drafted for that a list of criteria or how we will be scoring it. So, and we had circulated that to the insert members. And so what we will be at by January is looking at further suggestions. By January, we should be fine-tuning the suggestions that we have and looking to add to it. So on 2 tracks, we have some proposals that we've looked at for what I would refer to as infrastructure. And those we're looking at and considering to approach council for some funding and so on to go towards it. So if we get money from the feds, then that would be matching funds, or we would have some funds to put towards that. We applied for, and we were successful in getting another grant. This is the Digital Service Squad. So we will be offering free help to businesses, small businesses who are trying to go online or want to improve their marketing online. They'll be able to contact us at the county, and we will be able to schedule that. We have some tech guys that we're going to be hiring to go out and assist them and so on. And at the same time that that's happening, we are looking at some more grant programs to see if we can apply. I think Trillium is coming out with a grant program that has a section there for municipalities to further assist businesses. So what we're doing is looking at every possible way that we can leverage, get some of these grants to help our small businesses, and so that we can have some immediate impact. Basically, that's where we're at with the NSOT. V might be able to add more, or he might be able to further down in the meeting put some more flesh to the bone.
Sure.
Hi.
So yeah, we will be bringing a report to council on the 8th of December. The report will have our economic recovery task force plan. As Chris mentioned, we will be building on that plan in 2021. But at the last meeting that we had with the Economic Recovery Task Force, there were a lot of great ideas. Some of them were short-term, some of them were longer-term. So we've decided to kind of throw everything in there and just put timelines. Is this a short-term action, a medium-term, or a long-term action? Some of those we'll be able to fund through RRRF or potentially some other means. Some of those will hopefully end up as part of the operating budget in 2021. But basically, we've organized things by category. Growth, we heard things related to growth. We heard things related to supporting local, buy local, support local, help small businesses. So there is a few categories there. And as I said, that report will be coming on the 8th to council. In terms of the RRRF funding that Chris is talking about, that is kind of like a tourism focused program. And I'll just differentiate between what we're talking about from an RRRF perspective and what Christine will talk about later today. It is also RRRF, but it's a different stream of risk. And not to confuse, our stream is very much focused on tourism or community development type projects, which we've put into the Economic Recovery Task Force. It's a bit separate from the broader plan. And then what Christine will talk about is broader funding. But happy to answer any questions. I know there's a lot there and there's a lot going on, but it'll start coming together after the report goes to council.
And just from the NSERT board members end, we have, and then following the meeting, and what we had recommended, like what we're all in agreement, the community members of the board, the non-staff members of the board, that we think the $50,000 that's left over should be used for is a sort of micro grant program for Norfolk County businesses that have businesses and community groups that have interesting projects with the most impact on tourism and economic recovery in Norfolk County. There's some great framework already out there for Ontario programs that exist that were just kind of we reused in our suggestions. So that's what our hope is that the rest of the money is used for, is more of a apply for a $5,000 or $10,000 micro grant from that money for some projects, so that we can kind of leverage the great volunteers and great businesses we already have in the community to be able to grow. Anyone have questions for Zvi or Chris or me? No? Okay, I don't see any hands or anything. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, so the skills assessment survey. Oh wait, Wanda?
Yeah, just curious, Chris, if you've thought about the request for proposal process and the enrolling for the digital assistance. Are you local first? I guess establishing a criteria of how many delivery agents you need or businesses? Are you there yet in that process?
You mean for the digital service squad that we got the grant for?
Yeah.
Yes, so we have an ad that's running. It closes the end of this week. We have had some applications so far. The funding is for 2 squad members.
Okay.
And it will go through our the same process that we would follow for hiring any 2 people.
Okay, so they're hired on contract by the county?
That's correct.
Okay. So could a local company apply at all, or that doesn't really fit the funding criteria?
You mean a local company to provide the service?
Yeah, just curious.
No, just
Yeah,
2
okay.
individuals that will be on staff, that will be paid a salary, just like any 2 staff. So no, that wouldn't be.
I
Yes.
have a question.
Mhm.
I have a question. So the 2 staff that will be coming on board, I guess further to Wanda's question. So you have that resource. If I were a business in Norfolk County, how would I apply? And 1,000 applications. Is there a priority given to certain identified sectors? First come, first serve, or how is that going to play out?
Right. So what will happen is that as soon as we are going to have a form that you fill in for request for assistance. You'll make and then we will schedule the 2 individuals, and it will be based on resources. So if we get more than what we can handle, it's whoever had applied and was approved to be seen by these people. And that's one of the things I asked. I said, what if we start this program and then we're overwhelmed and we have much more company businesses applying than we even anticipated? They said, that's a good problem to have. I think FedDev is looking at expanding the program. They haven't announced that yet, but it could be that there's a possibility that we could expand it. But yes, we could get more people applying than we have the resources to cover, and that would boil down to a first come, first served basis.
Is there any thought, or would there be any thought? I'm sure you and your colleagues have been looking at the sectors hit the hardest. Is there any thought to prioritizing sectors either by hardest hit or best potential for recovery? In other words, this program really being promoted to like any businesses in the tourism sector. So your restaurants, your small retail in Main Street business, as opposed to maybe manufacturers or other types of companies, so that we COVIDify the businesses that have been hit the hardest with this I guess one-time federal funding.
Yeah, so this program is specifically for what they refer to as downtown Main Street businesses. So it's for small businesses in the downtown core.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other question? Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, I think we're good. Okay, so skills assessment survey. Is that is that the one that we were that Christine sent an example for that we were going to do for us? Yes.
That's correct, yes.
All right, so Jacob, do you want to speak to that?
Well, Christine sent it out, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone in the group had it. because I know that that's something that we've been looking at for a while now. So it would be advantageous for everyone to fill it out and send it either to yourself, Michelle, or to me, and then that way we have it as just a good pile of information going forward.
Great. How about we say everyone try and complete it by this Friday and send to Jacob, just so it's on file with the county instead of just me. If they're comfortable filling it out, it's optional, but would be great. Yes, Ian, and yeah.
Hi, so I'm not sure if everyone did get the email or not. This is in fact my last board meeting. Unfortunately, my terms come to an end and you're going to be joined by Ryan Taylor. So I'm not too sure if he's received a copy of the survey, but it would also be nice if we could prepare for him sort of board package. A lot of the boards that I've joined, I've either received a binder or just a little bit of information. And maybe we could whip up something to send that as part of the email package to him to welcome him as a board member. Maybe Jacob, I don't know if you could be tasked with that or who we should be looking to create such a package. I don't know if staff have something in a folder. I'm trying to recollect when I joined the team and if it was just come as you were, or if I did in fact receive some literature or some welcoming materials. It was 2 years ago. I can't recollect right now if I did. But that would be a nice gesture to do for a new board member, or even think about when we fill this youth position, so that they had some takeaway and they had some literature about the organization, what we do, the tourism focus, the economic focus, and even some of the staff support that we're starting to get as a board. I think we're going to start getting more organized as the last 2 years close of this term of council. So that'd be nice to prepare a document like that. Maybe that's something to bring back for Ryan's first meeting to kind of present to the board.
Usually we actually have the terms of reference as part of our agenda, which I don't actually see on this agenda. But that's a really helpful thing to just kind of get the gist of what TDAB even is, I think. Jacob, can you start including that in the agenda again?
Sure.
And then also, I think I asked this last meeting, but would it be possible if you basically did the attending and regrets at the top of each agenda, just so we kind of have an idea from the get-go of like who said they're coming and who's they're not? Just in the whatever you have by the final time you send out the agenda.
Sure. Yeah.
I can send him a welcome email, but if you want to, that probably would make the most sense, I think. But Jacob, if you want to send me kind of like any of the like county documentation we have on TDAB itself, then maybe I can put something together and then I'll CC you on it. Like I'm sure there'll be some kind of introduction, but just so that he has the information beforehand.
Sure thing.
And Michelle, I see Christine has had a note in the chat that we could send them the last few agendas and minutes, and that would take care of the kind of the history as to what we've been working on. I think that's a fabulous idea. Yeah,
probably just the link to where the minutes are on the county website would be super easy.
We've also
that's a great idea.
circulated a contact sheet as well, Michelle. I think, yeah, Jacob, you still might have that.
Sorry, that was the contact sheet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe I do. I can't access it right now because I'm at home. I'd have to be at work to look in my work files. But I believe we do have something to that effect, yes.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Sounds good. That's a great idea, Ian. Thank you very much for spending time with us. You've had really good insight on so many things and really good feedback on stuff. And yeah, thanks for your 2 years.
It was excellent.
If I had a beer, I would cheers you right now, but I don't.
Okay. Rain check another time.
Yes. Okay, so the TDAT, or maybe we'll do the action item list maybe at the end. I'll do Christine's funding stuff first, just so if anything else comes up on the action item list, we can add to it.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, so part of the FedDev triple RF envelope, just after COVID hit, Venture Norfolk was given a chunk of cash to give to support small micro businesses, primarily sole proprietors who did not qualify for the $40,000 loans that they were getting through the banks. So we were given money then. We are now given $1 million here in Norfolk County to do more of these up to $40,000 loans, 25% forgivable if it's paid back by a certain amount. So basically, I'm going to say we call it RIF 2.0. So the RIF 2.0 is just the first version, replayed again. The new and sexy edition is that we were allowed to apportion a certain percentage of the funding to go towards non-repayable loans to not-for-profits or social enterprises who offer business technical expertise to small, medium-sized enterprises. Okay, so it's a $500,000 pool of money, but it needs to be given to, or not-for-profits can get it to help support SMEs. Wrap your head around that one for a bit, because it took me about 7 read-throughs to understand it. So what this basically means is, for those organizations out there that support businesses, AKA with specialized business technical expertise, they can apply with projects for funding through this pool. So I haven't gotten the money in my deposit box yet. It is coming. The launch will be sometime probably the end of this week. The challenge is it's a big pool of money with very specific parameters. But the way to think about it is this money is to help those organizations who are supporting SMEs. So of course I got a ton of calls from Rotarians and the Lions, because everyone's got their not-for-profit groups with great projects. But the dotted line, and this is where we have to get creative and specific, is that it has to go to benefit a business. Okay, so right off the top of my head, when I first heard all of this information, my first question was, give me a for example. That what, because I don't understand gibberish. So the for example would be, for example, working with your local chambers, BIAs, boards of trades, industry associations, whose goal at the end of it is to benefit their memberships, who are primarily small, medium-sized enterprises. So right off the top, we are reaching out to the local chambers, BIAs, boards of trades, to see if there are any types of projects. So a for example could be, and some of the examples that FedDev has given as examples of activities is, if any activities that help expand a digital footprint of a company so that their sales channels are expanded or changed or different or improved, providing access to technical resources like an HR person to give very specific feedback on, providing safe environments, policies in this new COVID world. Basically, as business owners, you all got hit in the head with COVID, and your businesses got dings from all kinds of various specialty areas. This funding is to help provide access to the technical expertise to fix the dings in the cars, in the businesses that these, that COVID has brought, so that when and if this should happen again, you are now fortified and in a better position to deal with this next time around. And that's sort of my paraphrasing, so it makes sense in my head, and this is how I'm explaining it to you. So right off the bat, obviously supporting anyone getting online, doing business online as an expansion of sales channels. It could be anything from us working with a chamber organization, like, for example, the Simcoe Chamber of Commerce, to put together a program to offer members or business community members to come and take part in a webinar Zoom program that would include help and access to some free specialized assistance. It could be, one thing we're thinking about is there a way to partner with the mental health organization here in Norfolk County to maybe provide some kind of an EAP program available to sole props, because they don't have a large company EAP when things are hitting the fan and they need someone to talk to. Obviously, that wouldn't be the majority of the funding, but it's one area that sort of falls into the category, but not a little bit more creative, down to helping get companies like basically digitize their business, get them online, get them transacting online, and then working with whatever partners we can to maybe do some kind of a local delivery system. And again, it's how creative we are in making a case for the dotted line that an SME is being helped at the end of this project. I've seen some CFDCs, we're starting to, you know, share the best practices, because what I need to do is come up with a list that I would be submitting to FedDev to say, okay, here's the list of projects, because the last thing you want to do is say, yeah, that sounds really great, and then it doesn't meet their parameters and they deny the funding. I'd like to get a short list of what these types of local programs could be that we can then get funding for, because the other thing is they have to be done by the end of February, because, you know, it's not like they give us a ton of time to get all this stuff done. So look forward to, I guess, a request for proposals, reach outs from Venture Norfolk to, you know, like, for example, the easy one, or the easiest one in my humble opinion, would be in contacting all the chambers to say, okay, what programming access can we help you provide your constituents, because you would be not-for-profit organizations helping SMEs at the end. It could be something as simple as forming a an association for tourism operators, because we don't have one. There is no, like, some other groups in some other parts of the country have manufacturers associations, have restaurant associations. Now, I'm not into suggesting that we put in a whole bunch of layers of bureaucracy to get between an end person and the monies, but there might be some really good opportunities with the local chambers, BIAs, Board of Trades, and anybody else who wants to come to the table, that we can collect a group of like-minded businesses in a particular sector and say, okay, from a sector perspective, what do you need? What can we put together? So right off the top of my head, I think the easy thing, I say easy, tourism has obviously been hit the hardest, right? Anything in the tourism sector, whether it be Main Street businesses and things of that nature, but what restaurants need versus what small retailers need versus what, Amanda, you would need, it's different, okay? But it's not to say that it's not as important. But the other part of it is that this funding is really intended to help build the foundation, because if it falls apart April 1 because the money's dry up, then it's not really a good use of the funds. But if it's something to create a support, either strengthen an existing association so that they have more gas in the tank to offer more support to their constituents ongoing, that's really, I always look at the spirit of intent of what the 42-page contract I got sent. The spirit and intent really is to help support the supporters so that their efforts are multiplied, so that at the end of it, they are better equipped to help businesses, so that the businesses are then better equipped to survive and thrive. So just to recap, so there's two streams. There's one, we have another $1 million in CEBA loans that we can, that we are participating in. The opening, that envelope of money, as soon as I get it, should be sometime this week. I'm going to say Wednesday, Thursday. When that envelope is open, we'll be marketing it all over the channels we can to basically say, if you've been impacted by COVID and you need, it's a loan, a 0% loan, same conditions as last time, that is available. But then the other part of it is this, you know, potentially if it's a not-for-profit that does not gather any service money at all, this is pure grant money. So it's how creative we are in putting it out there. So I wanted to share that with this group because of the way, how far your tentacles reach into the community. If you have an idea, by all means, send it to me. This is unprecedented. There's no rule book on any of this. So I guess it's really how creative we can be in coming up with projects that address the real needs of our local entrepreneurs and the service groups that do it. Because the other part of it is, if it's a very specific thing, like for example, grant writing. It could be Venture Norfolk contracts a grant writer and we hold a grant writing workshop. You bring your strat plan in, we help you identify what your priorities are, and then we go and we can pay for, like, that's one potential project. We then get a grant writer in and say, okay, in a group of a cohort of 10, we'll write your grants with you, for you, in conjunction with you, so that, again, this money in is leveraging other monies further down the line. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Questions?
Zvi has had his hand up. I don't know, it's gone now, but.
Yeah, I put it down because I think Christine answered my question, but I'll ask it anyway. So would something like this qualify? And I'm not saying that this is an actual proposal, but say, for example, one of the chambers were to bring on a consultant that specialized in, lean, right? Someone who's a lean expert, and would say, okay, we will take 20 businesses and we will walk them through a lean development process so that at the end of it, they can implement some of those changes and cut costs by 20% because of process reorganizations. It's not sustainable, meaning that the chamber won't be able to offer this to eternity, which is kind of that sustainability piece that you were talking about. However, the sustainability piece is that 20 businesses will now know how to increase their efficiency by 20% every time there's an issue.
Yep.
So I wanted to ask if that's viable.
Yeah, I think I would say this, V. I'm a pretty creative person, and I can see, as long as I can see a dotted line to a business being helped, that's sort of the way I would go ahead on it. And as a backup, I would be willing to. I don't need to have a whole list to apply. If I have an idea, I would just, hey, I go to my rep and say, here's what I'm thinking. What do you think? And have it. So I would say something like that to me makes sense. You could say, argue in the lean environment, everyone's got to get leaner with COVID. I mean, that's easy because the whole thing is the impact of COVID and how to minimize it or turn it around so that when and if this happens again, at least that part of your business has been protected or fortified as a result of this type of activity. So I would say, yeah, that sounds like a good one. And I encourage everyone in your necks of the woods. I mean, I have to be honest, it took me a couple of days to kind of wrap my head around this, to figure things out. But I think the big thing is, as long as we can do a line to a business and then find a not-for-profit that we would obviously work in conjunction with. And if we couldn't, then nothing would stop Venture Norfolk. We are a not-for-profit. We could, in fact, hire a consultant to deliver this as well. That does fall within, from what I'm reading, that falls in as well. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Nick, you look perplexed. Oh, now he's off screen.
Sorry,
Did
no.
you just- it looked like he just hung up.
Managing a few things in the background while I'm doing this, but no, it sounds like a great opportunity, and yeah, I look forward to seeing how that can be taken advantage of. So, is it, Christine? Is it regionally based projects? So are they looking for things that cross boundaries? You know, like I'm thinking of Wanda's organization, but which is for a larger region.
I'm going to say, you know what, Nick, I'm not taking anything off the table. I think if we can, as long as we can show we can demonstrate that there's benefit in Norfolk County. I mean, the irony I had to provide the metrics against which to measure it before I even had the contract with the particulars. So on a leap of faith, I put in some numbers, and anyway, we're going to do our darndest to make sure that we'll come as close as we can. But regionally, I think you play in this space too. The more collaborative any project is, the higher the likelihood of it being viewed upon favorably for this round and any potential ones coming forward in the future. So I wouldn't be opposed to a regional one, so long as we've got some benefit in Norfolk County. And in some cases, we may need to stretch regionally, because that's the only way that the benefit, like it's the benefit of that en masse that we can get some traction.
No, it sounds great, Christine. The other thing I was just wondering was about the RFT FT 2.0 or whatever, what the uptake is on for you guys.
Well, we just got the approved collateral pieces this morning. So we have a short list just from, I guess, the backlog from the last time. Appreciate the last time we got our money, FedDev was very clear, get the money out to help relieve. They wanted it out quickly. We got our money out in 5 weeks time, like boom, boom, it was done. We were probably one of the first in Ontario to get our money out. And I was begging for more at that point and told no, no, no. And now they give it to us now, which we'll still take. But the uptake, I think I am anticipating a decent uptake. And then unfortunately, Christmas is going to hit because now we've got people distracted with holidays. So we've probably got a short list of about 6 or 7 right off the bat right now that we know probably will qualify. But we'll start the market. The feds are starting the marketing this week. We will be dovetailing into theirs because FedDev Ontario they'll be issuing the same loan dollars to corporations. They ask us to focus on the sole proprietors. And that's the way we kind of do the division of labor. It's the same program, but they want us looking after the Main Street businesses, sole props, and the ones that up to now haven't had as much support as they need and who have incurred additional costs as a result of ongoing COVID issues. Okay. Any other questions?
I don't see anybody else's hand.
Quick question, Christine.
Yeah.
And are there any limitations to collaborating? For example, let's say SWATC decided that they were going to run a program in Norfolk County to help the local tourism industry to develop tour packages or whatever it is to help them to
Yeah,
pivot.
they asked that we not stack.
Right. So you wouldn't be able to collaborate with another agency.
Well, I guess depending on what the nature of the collaboration is, we can't rack and stack, is from what I understand, from what I've read. They don't want us stacking any this on that and that. So again, how creative can we be to make projects run in tandem without necessarily being reliant on each other? I think that's up to how creative we can be. I don't want to sound like creative and skirting the rules, but I'm a big spirit and intent person, and the spirit and intent is to make stronger businesses at the end of this. So
so would that mean that if the Norfolk County Council said, okay, here is, we want to do something special for businesses and we're going to set aside $10,000, we wouldn't be able to partner with you with that starting 10,000 to get some additional to make something bigger?
I would say, you know what, Chris, the way I would write that up is it's a 2-stage project. And they run in tandem, but not, I think where there's a will, there's a way to write it up. And I think that's where I would be willing to put my creative hat on to word it in such a way that they're not stacked, but they're running in tandem. You know, I think it's possible.
Yeah,
like,
I got you.
Are they going to check every program? Like, you know, if that were the case, I wouldn't get my stuff as last minute as I do. So I would say I wouldn't let that hold anything back. My biggest thing and I guess my personal take on this is there are priority sectors in Norfolk County. There are priority businesses. There are some that have gotten hit worse than others. And there are some that are poised for a stronger, faster recovery with lots of jobs than others. And not to say that, you know, one is more important than the other, but I'd love a balanced approach that takes those two considerations in mind. And if there's a larger project, one thing that FedDev has said is if there are any projects that, you know, on a one-off basis, make a business case. Well, I'd be willing to write a business case if there's some interesting one-off projects that might be larger in scope than this, but are in the same spirit and intent of what we're trying to do. Like if there was an employer, for example, if there's a business in Norfolk County or a particular industry that, you know, needs a lot of lift and there's a lot of upward potential for job creation. I mean, that's the name of the game with FedDev is job creation. So just, it may not necessarily fit this bundle, but it certainly, I would say, put it on the table. And if it's not this, we'll figure out if there's another way to skin a cat.
Understood.
Okay.
Great. Anybody else have any questions? No? Okay, thanks, Christine. That was very great, and look forward to seeing what that ends up supporting in the end. That sounds really awesome. Okay, Jacob, do you want to review the TDAB action item list? I can't really see it. Was it sent separately, or is there nothing on it?
I will put it in the chat here. Just one second.
Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm having a hard time downloading it. I can't download it or do anything. Do you want to just read it out?
I
Sure,
can't
I'll
access
actually
either 'cause I don't
share
have
my
access to
screen.
your SharePoint.
Yeah, same here.
Jacob, do you want to share your screen? Do you want to open it and share your screen?
Yep.
I don't think it's a long list, so if it isn't working, you can just read it. It's, okay, there we go. Okay. Okay, great. So I think everything is done on here from what I can see. So does anyone see anything from this meeting that needs to be added to it? Okay, yeah, I think everything on here, Jacob, is complete, so can be removed for the next meeting. Aside from probably the last one just said we'll have it for the next meeting, the skills assessment survey.
Well, and Michelle, what about the Climate Change Advisory Committee? I thought is that not deferred to January 2021?
I was looking at status board had completed its mandate. So
Okay.
I think last time we talked about it and it was kind of like even unsure where that was all coming from, kind of. And I think the last meeting, someone correct me if I'm wrong, we had marked it as closed. But maybe I'm wrong.
I just understood maybe they haven't met yet, so there was nothing to report.
Yeah, and then I guess, yeah. So I feel like if it's just going to continue on there for kind of ever. So if there is an update for us, it might just come to us when the board exists or meets. Okay, so is there anyone, there's nothing I don't think to add to the action item lists. I
have a question.
Yeah.
There was a time where we used to also receive the Agriculture Advisory Board minutes. I always found that was helpful in information sharing. And then again, that's kind of inspired by the new Climate Control Committee that hasn't yet met. So I'm just wondering if the committee feels that would be of interest, of benefit.
Jacob, the minutes for the Agricultural Advisory Board is usually online, right?
They should be. Yes, that's correct. We actually met this morning, and I'm just firming up the minutes, but I can send you what I have from this morning if you'd like it. It's just not set in stone just yet. It hasn't been uploaded, but I can send you what I have.
No, I think what Wanda is saying is that just to be abreast of what's happening in other advisory boards, that if we have access to the minutes, then that would help. So I was just wondering if the link to all of the boards or whatever, you just put the link right in where we just click on it and it takes us there. Then whoever wants to read through the minutes of all of those meetings, it would just be a simple link in probably the agenda, and then bam, there you have it.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking, that they're online like ours are. But Wanda, are you thinking more just you get like an email that there's new ones on there from the previous meeting or something?
Well, my point is all about collaboration and not working in silos. Everybody is going through the pandemic together, and I have always taken, 5 minutes to read what was happening at an ag advisory board. On occasion, we have had cross discussions. These then again are like-minded business owners and groups that are here with, the same agenda, right? Renewal, rejuvenation, identifying maybe some policy pieces, resources. So really it's up to this committee. I'm all about collaboration and knowing what my neighbor's doing, and so not to make an administrative burden for Jacob, but certainly if there's any links that can be shared for those of us who feel that's a value.
Jacob, you know what might be really easy to do? If we could have in just on our agenda, a standing agenda item, just maybe it like 11 or something being just additional information. And then you just have the date of the last ag meeting and a link to the minutes website, so that if anybody wants to review them before, they can do so. But the general link.
Sure, no problem.
Great suggestion, Michelle. Thanks, Jacob.
No problem.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's it. Does anybody have anything else for other business that they'd like to? Chantel?
Yes, Jacob, could you resend that skills assessment survey? I can't find it.
Was it an Excel spreadsheet?
I will send it along.
If you could, please. Thank you.
And then Jacob, maybe if you don't have it back from anybody on Friday, just double check with them to see if they're going to send it or not. And it's pretty quick, I believe, from when I looked at it. So
okay, sounds good.
Thanks. Okay, so if there's nothing else, is there anything else, or your hand's still up from that, right? Yes, okay. So the next meeting, December 21st. Is everybody okay with the meeting that close to Christmas, or I think it could be, I think during the I personally think probably during the pandemic, we can we should be having a December meeting probably, because things can kind of change on a dime. But it might be very quick like this one was instead of our normal 2-hour ones. Is everybody okay with that? Yes. And time, what day of the week? I mean, I guess it's a Monday. I think same time. Is this time still work for everybody? Yep. Okay, so 5 to 7 on December 21st. And yeah, see you guys, I guess, in December. Thanks for everything. And thanks again, Ian, for your time on the board. And good luck on whatever else they assign you to next, or you choose to be on next.
Thank you, everyone. I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas. If I don't see you, despite the circumstances, spend some time, quality time with your family at home, your close family. I dissuade everyone from traveling, and I think this year it's time to just hunker down with your closest family members and those in your household, and just be thankful for what we have. Things could always be worse. I know we're all hurting right now, but I think in times of crisis, you find out who your friends are and who you can rely on, and sometimes you can be humbled in these times too. If people really show their true colors and show how generous they can be, and how loving and compassionate they can be. So I think I'd like to end the meeting on that night, and on that note, sorry, and just thank you all for the last 2 years. I've really enjoyed working with each and every one of you, and like I said in my email, you've got a strong advocate with me, a friendly counselor, and someone that is always going to have the door open to you, and hope to work with each and every one of you in some capacity over the next 2 years while I serve. So with that, everyone, you have a good evening, and I really want to just express my appreciation and thanks for all you've done for me over the last couple of years here.
Thanks, Ian.
Thanks for your leadership. Stay well.
Okay. See you all in December.
Good meeting, Michelle.
Chantal's hand up.
Thanks for your time.
Did Chris have one more thing?
Chris, did you have something?
I saw Chantal's hand was up, so I was wondering if she.
Oh, it was still up last time.
That was from, sorry, that was from before.
Okay.
I'm also waving to Ian, I guess. Bye, Ian.
Okay then.
Thanks, everybody. Bye. Have a nice night.
Good night.
Bye.
Yeah.
See you later.
Bye-bye.